What is good, Tesla family? It's Ray J back with another video, and this one will break down what's going on with the overall market, what you should be watching for moving forward. I'm going to talk about some big data that's going to be coming out very soon, what's going on with the news affecting the markets, what the news is saying about Tesla, and what's going on with Tesla SPY and the QQQ. But before I do anything like this, before I talk about all these different tickers, let me just mention a couple of things. I'm firstly not a financial planner, so make sure you take none of this as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please check out the Webull link, which is down below and in the description. If you sign up for Webull, the link down below, and deposit any amount of money into the account, you are guaranteed up to 12 free stocks. The offer ends very soon. It ends in just about 6 days, so check it out before they run out. With that out of the way, let's get on with the video. All right, so looking at Tesla, we actually had a very, very interesting structure here. We had this nice accumulation right down here around this 245 level, as Tesla's now trying to pump a little bit. And then Tesla ended up testing this resistance very close to this 252 area. And after hitting that, we do have this gap right here, which could end up getting filled. We're actually starting to fill it, at least to some degree. So as Tesla's starting to decline just a little bit, we're going to be watching for a bounce today. We're going to see if Tesla can try to rebound and retest 252. We tend to see this thing pop in the morning once we start off the day and then come right back down. But if we break 252, we could be seeing even more upside to 255 or so. And then if we do end up seeing that, what I would be anticipating is high volatility for the first couple of hours, then less volatility during the last few hours, maybe the last 3-4 hours, because we have CPI coming out for Thursday. That's like the really only piece of data that's coming out between now and tomorrow that's going to be massive alongside initial jobless claims. But CPI is going to be the big thing coming out, and that's going to cause lots of volatility. So in the beginning, when the market approaches CPI, we could see high volatility in the morning, like for Wednesday. But what tends to happen is during the last few hours of the day, we tend to see lots of choppy price action, lots of sideways price action. So that's very probable going into tomorrow. Now, to add on to all of this, let me just mention that looking at some data that came out, we could see that right here, we had earnings for Sony, Roblox, and just a couple of others. And then we also have Disney coming out later on after the market closes. Some things to remember about the market is that there was a downgrade, once again, for a lot of these different banks. That's worth noting, and that's part of why we did see lots of volatility yesterday. And we're going to be watching to see how this ends up changing going into tomorrow and beyond. But for now, the market's trying to bounce from this. The market's trying to recover a bit. We also had another Fed speaker that came out, Harker, who was saying that the Fed is going to be pausing very, very soon. That there's a possibility he's correct. We'll have to wait and see on that. Americans are in a lots of credit card debt, topping $1 trillion for the first time ever, according to the New York Federal Reserve. Once again, guys, this is no surprise with these inflation numbers. WeWork was also telling us that they're on the risk of bankruptcy. So that's another thing that's worth noting. We had some big moves from DraftKings, uh, Bumble, not to mention Axon Enterprise, and just a couple of other tickers out there. And then Sony ended up announcing kind of decent earnings. You can see right here. They raised their forecast on PlayStation gaming growth, but their profit dropped 31% for the first quarter. And we're going to be looking at their operating profits. This could improve overall for like the next year, but for now, it's not looking that great. So this may have an effect on them. Finally, for Tesla, the news is once again coming out comparing VW to Tesla. I personally don't like the idea of comparing all these different EV companies every single day to Tesla. They keep doing it, and now they're trying to, shun Tesla by saying that VW outsold Tesla in Germany through July. Yes, that is the truth, because you could see VW ended up selling about, I think it says right here, 41,000 units, whereas Tesla sold about 40,000, which is like super close. And honestly, guys, I just don't like the idea of just trying to compare them this much. Tesla's not going to be number one in every single country on the planet in terms of like their sales. But if you compare Tesla to VW in like China and the US and etc., right, in terms of their EV sales, Tesla still comes out on top. So we shouldn't necessarily just compare every single company like this just to criticize Tesla. Mainstream news outlets like to do that. And if anything, I'm still proud of Tesla because their growth is what's going to be very important. Now, once again, there are criticisms of Tesla. Tesla has some slowdowns coming for the year in terms of production and etc. Tesla is not necessarily in the best of states for the next 12 months, but the longer term projections for like 2025 and beyond, even for like the second half of 2024, should be a lot better. But just know that it's not going to be an easy ride for Tesla. There are going to be some hurdles coming in, especially when it comes to like increasing production, etc. But anyways, now let's talk about the market. How are things looking? How are the charts looking? So for Tesla, we're going to be looking for a little drop right here. We could see it break below the 50. If it breaks down, we're going to be looking for it to come close to filling this gap. We're only just like $1 away. It's not even that far. Could see a little bit of a drop very close to like open, may drop like very, very close for the next like half hour. And then we're gonna be looking for a pop a little bit after open. It tends to pop a lot. We're gonna be watching a 252 retest. If that breaks, I'm not gonna rule out the possibility of this becoming an accumulation and Tesla pushing to the 200, which is where this imbalance happens to be at this 255 area. I think that's still very possible. And we might see Tesla try to pop to at least 252, if not 255 today, then get a rejection, come down, and start trading sideways after that. And I'm anticipating something like that with a somewhat green day. I think Tesla's going to close a little green today. I'm going to be watching for the shop in the sideways price action near the second half of the day. It's going to be kind of boring, so make sure you're ready for that. And that's the reason why I personally am just going to like get in, get out on trades, try to be really quick because I know the market's going to likely turn kind of choppy at the end of the day because CPI comes out tomorrow morning, and that's what the market tends to do with all this hedging and etc. As far as SPY goes, my target from yesterday on SPY was a 450 retest because we had this gap. We actually came all the way up to this level during the pre-market, so it did technically reach my level. It's just that it didn't happen like specifically during the open hours, happened during the pre-market so far. And what could happen is we come down a little bit more to fill this gap, a small little drop on SPY before this thing bounces and tries to retest 450. We might see either sideways price action and a retest of 450 from here, or it could try to break 450 and break a little bit higher. It's about 452, which is where this imbalance is. If that's the case, I'm going to be a little concerned about CPI because that could be a trap. But if it tries to pop, it really depends on if it could break the 200 EMA or not. So I'm anticipating a drop in a pop, a retest of the 200 EMA right here. We will see if this breaks or not. Can we break this resistance or not? We'll have to wait and see. My best prediction would be a drop and a pop and just sideways price action, or it drops, pops, and tries to break this and pops a little bit higher. One little nice pop, then it comes back down and then it ends up trading sideways for the rest of the day. So it's got to be one of those two. It depends on the test of the 200 EMA. I think we are going to retest this, and that's what I'm predicting on SPY. For the QQQ, I'm seeing something very similar. I think the QQQ is going to likely come down to fill this gap. It's actually very close to doing so. Then we might see a bounce intraday and a retest of 373, and it could try to break to about 373.8 if we do see some more nice upside. Then we might see the market come down and just continue to trade sideways with lots and lots of chop. But I do think the QQQ, SPY, and many stocks will try to close green. For Nvda, you're going to be watching this 444 support. Below that, we have 440, 436, and then 433 as supports. For resistance, watch 447, 450, 451 to 452, and then we have 455 above that. We also have the 200 EMA at this 450 area. So I'm going to be watching the video. So far, it's looking kind of weak. I'm going to be watching if we can hold this 444 support. If it bounces, watch a retest of 447, maybe even it may even pop to about like 450, come right back down, and then trade sideways for the majority of the day. The overall structure looks a little bit more bearish in terms of like the pattern. The technicals right now are looking a little bit weak, but not that horrible. I'm not expecting it to like crash, but I think we may see lots of sideways price action for now. And then we're going to be watching for a much bigger move after CPI on Thursday. So that's what I'm seeing for the markets, guys. Watch for a potential drop, then a pop, and then sideways price action later on. And until we see each other once again, make sure you watch your levels on Tesla very, very carefully. So what are the levels? Don't forget 250 is our support right now. If it breaks below this, we have some gap support at this like 249 area. If that fails us, then we have 247.5, 245.95, 244.5, then 242. And if it bounces, right, if it bounces off support at 250, or even if it like bounces off this like gap support down here at 249, watch for it to retest 250 as resistance. If it breaks this, then we have 252, this entire 252 zone as resistance. And above that, we have 254.25 to 255, this entire range right here. And I think there's a good chance this is going to come down and bounce, retest 252, and maybe try to break it for one more little pop before it comes down. And then we might see sideways price action after that and just range trading for Tesla before the market ends up closing. I am predicting the market may close green today, even if it's just very slight. And remember, the second half of the day may be very boring with sideways price action. That's my warning for everyone. All right, so that's what I'm saying for Tesla. Here are some important levels. And with that said, thank you all so much for listening. Tesla and the market to the moon as the long term is still incredibly bright. And peace out.